Avatar 1 came more than a decade before its sequel and had everyone excited. Well, we've got some good news for the fans. The mastermind behind the series, James Cameron, is finally giving us some insight into what's coming next in the fictional world. In today's video, we'll be talking all about the plans he revealed and everything else we know about the upcoming films. Let's get into it. Starting with, Avatar 3 could be a satisfying end, but it won't be. James Cameron has to be one of the most decorated filmmakers since he has a few big names under his belt. Ever heard of a little something called the Titanic? Yeah, he made it. Bet you've quoted and watched The Terminator a million times. Yep, he did that too. Now Avatar? It hit the top of the charts and became the highest grossing film of all time. Cameron is not a force to be reckoned with. Now Cameron's hitting it even bigger with his Avatar series. He's spent the last decade crafting 4 movies as the sequel to the first. The first sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water, is now out in theaters, and the fate of the sequels rests on the viewers. Their reaction is to be a huge factor in how many of the sequels will actually be put out. The third part is scheduled to release in December 2024, and the other 2 parts are said to come out in 2026 and 2028. Here's the catch though, none of these are assured and confirmed, only speculated. So where does this leave us? Say Avatar 2 doesn't do so well, what in the world are we supposed to do then? Cameron wouldn't be a successful filmmaker if he didn't have a perfect answer for this, and he does. In a recent interview, he explained that he structured the films in a way that if the third film did end up being the last, it would give a perfect and satisfying ending to the series. Next up, what did he reveal in the interview? The final 2 movies are completely different from their predecessors. He said that he's been thinking about this fact a lot. While he creates brilliant films, there's always a chance of failure, and he's got himself covered. The Titanic filmmaker said that ending the series with Avatar 3 is doable and would be satisfying, but not to him. After the third part, the series takes an unexpected twist and goes in a different direction. So naturally, it also becomes a stopping point. With the next 2 movies, there's a whole other set of problems to deal with. Cameron also said that he doesn't like to think in terms of failure, he'd rather think in terms of success. That's always a smart strategy. Now, we don't know what drastic direction takes the plot to a whole different dimension, but in a recent interview, he said that when a studio executive read the script of part 4, he said just 2 words. Wanna know what they are? Holy F. That's all the reaction we need. But Cameron is smart. He knows that 2009 was a different age and time. His work was revolutionary at the time, but in a world of CGI, it may not be so anymore. He's not sure if people will turn up for the sequel the same way they did for Avatar. The 68-year-old doesn't think that would be a quick decision though. He's refusing to think about it for the next 3 weeks until a solid prediction can be met considering all the factors like attention span and COVID. Coming up, Cameron wants full VFX for a 9-hour cut of Avatar 3? Did you know that Cameron originally delivered a 9-hour cut of the upcoming Avatar 3 to the studio and asked for it to receive full VFX? Jeff Snyder appeared on the Hot Mic podcast to reveal that Cameron did not take it easy on the 20th Century Studios. He then demanded that the visual effects be done for the entire length of the clip. Only after this would he decide what to cut and what to keep. He heard that this is what had happened, so his story could have some truth to it or none at all. In any case, a 9-hour cut would have never made it to the big screens anyway. Movies with a runtime of over 3 hours already present themselves with enough logistical problems as it is. The filmmakers know of this fact, so we're sure that he'll cut down a lot of the movie before releasing it. He has a couple of years to pick and choose because in this world of 15-second TikToks, there's no way he'd survive a 9-hour film. And in general, the studio may not even take on the project the way Cameron wants. The expenditure to do that for a movie when only a fraction of it would air is probably insane. Coming back to Cameron, he must be pretty confident in his work to demand such a tactical and unexpected task. But with this level of confidence comes a level of risk, and that risk seems to have gone too far. A good middle point would be to turn it into a television space. The filmmaker has talked about the necessary technology needed to produce a long-form series in his universe is still a decade away. But hey, we've got all these streaming services for a reason. Let's talk about how Avatar 3 is 95% filmed and done. Avatar is one of those projects that takes years to finally hit the theaters. It took 13 years for us to finally start getting some answers. One of the reasons it took so long was the new exclusive technology being made for it. The producer, John Landau, revealed note that the Avatar team has been booked and busier than we'd care to think. The first act of Avatar 4 is already filmed. Yeah, not 3, but 4. Another new piece of information is that we'll be getting a movie every couple of years as opposed to every decade. The upcoming movies already have a script and everything ready, and Avatar 3 is already underway, as we previously told you guys. So while it may have taken a decade for the second part to come out, that won't be happening again. The cast has even read all the scripts and is aware of which directions their characters take. It's how they know what role they need to take when the cameras are rolling. Landau then said that 95% of Avatar 3 is already filmed and only a few bits are left. The producer then opened up about the movies. He said that Jim has done a brilliant job with the sequels, and each takes you to new cultures and biomes. He gushed over the "I see you" thought that the film carries. It's a common dialogue in the film, which means that one person sees you for who you are and not for what you look like. It's been the theme song of the film, so it makes sense for it to mean something big. So all this time, while we've been gearing up for Avatar 2, the team behind the franchise has been a few steps ahead of us, prepared for what comes next. So that means that even if Avatar: The Way of Water isn't a hit, we're still guaranteed to see at least one more movie. What else do we know about Avatar 3? There's been a bit of anxiety for Avatar 2. There are some pretty big expectations from the sequel since the first one broke the charts and records. Early box office reports state that the sequel is set to perform well in theaters across the world. Even early critics gave a pretty good response. And honestly, most people just go for the insane visuals, so while the anxiety is valid, it'll take a lot to disappoint the fans. In any case, here's everything we know about Avatar 3. The movie will be coming out on December 20th, 2024. We have to wait a couple of years before we find out what else happens. Now, this is the film's 8th release date. It was supposed to originally come out in December of 2015 before an incredible amount of delays pushed it past a decade, but this time we're confident about the date since Cameron went on a production rampage and filmed the second, third, and part of the fourth film together. So the team can finally lean toward the post-production work, and we can get to watch the series like actual human beings. Here's something else you might not know. When Cameron expressed his desire to make multiple sequels for the franchise, there were only 3 of them. But in writing the scripts for them, he realized that Avatar 2 needed to be divided into 2 different movies. More work for him and more content for us to watch. It's a win-win. Don't go anywhere yet, we've got more. The third movie might have a certain title that we maybe sort of might have a glimpse into, so in 2019, a few titles for the Avatar sequels were leaked, and Cameron had confirmed that they were being considered for the sequels. One of the titles was Avatar: The Seed Bearer, for the recently released sequel. Since the story's divided into 2 parts, this may be the third movie's title. We'll find out soon enough. Let's talk about the characters. This huge franchise can't just have the main characters alone and not a few A-listers along the way. We saw how The Way of Water introduced new names to the franchise, like Kate Winslet and Eddie Falco. It's only fair that the next movie introduces some more. Una Chaplin from the Game of Thrones will be joining the Varang, who'll become a core of the franchise. Then David Thewlis, Professor Lupin from Harry Potter, will play a Na'vi character who shows up in 3 and stays till 5. As we said before, there's a huge chance of failure still there. So the plan is that if Avatar 2 flops, they'll release the third part anyway, but that'll be the end of the franchise. Cameron told Total Film that they'll have their answer in 3 months. So the smart thing to do is to keep the third movie ready as a goodbye instead of working on the 4th and 5th and wasting money. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of the new details about Avatar 3? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.